There comes a time in every man's life when he finds himself standing at a crossroads, uncertain of whether to take a step forward or remain rooted in hesitation. Often, it's not the fear of rejection that holds us back, but the paralyzing thought of vulnerability, the silent voice whispering, "What if I'm wrong? But what if you're not?" What if, at this very moment, someone is quietly hoping, waiting, perhaps even yearning for you to break the silence? You see, life has a way of presenting opportunities wrapped in uncertainty, and courage is what untangles the mystery. Relationships real. Meaningful connections are built not in grand gestures, but in the brave decision to act when the outcome is unclear. It's in these moments of daring to reach out that we step closer to understanding ourselves and others. If you've ever felt the pull, that instinct whispering that maybe, just maybe, she's waiting for you to take that leap, then this is the moment to listen. This is the moment to act, because the signs are often subtle, fleeting, and easily missed, but they are there for those willing to see. The way attention shifts off subtle and almost imperceptible holds a profound truth about human relationships. It is in the tiniest gestures, the fleeting moments of focus, that we glimpse what lies beneath the surface. Pay attention, because these moments are not accidental. They are deliberate, even if unspoken. When she looks at you just a little longer than she does at others, when her eyes seek yours in a crowded room as though they are drawn by some unseen force, that is no coincidence. It is a sign, fragile yet profound, that there is something meaningful unfolding. You must understand that attention is currency in human interaction. We don't give it freely. We don't spend it carelessly. Where we direct our focus, our time, and our energy reveals where our heart resides. This is as true for her as it is for you. In Proverbs it is written, "As water reflects the face, so one's life reflects the heart." What she reflects in her moments of undivided attention is the state of her inner world. A world she may not even fully understand yet, but one that knows somehow that you matter. These shifts are not grand displays, they are whispers, not shouts, and therein lies their beauty. If you are looking for fireworks, you will miss the quiet flicker of the flame. When her attention turns toward you in unexpected ways, a slight pause in her step when you speak, the way she leans ever so slightly forward when you share your thoughts, she is telling you something. Perhaps not consciously, perhaps not even with the intent of being understood, but these small acts of focus are laden with meaning. She is saying in her own silent language that you are worth noticing. But here's the catch, you have to be willing to notice too. In a world brimming with distractions, it's easy to overlook what is right in front of you. Too often we are blind to what matters most because we are consumed by what matters least. The trivial occupies our minds while the eternal whispers are drowned out. The attention she offers is fleeting, and if you are not vigilant, it will pass you by, leaving only regret in its wake. Open your eyes. Be present. This is not just about seeing her, it's about perceiving her. There is a difference. Realize that attention, when freely given, is a risk. It's a risk for her to focus on you in a way that makes her vulnerable. To allow you into her space, to let her guard down even slightly, requires trust. And trust, as we all know, is not given lightly. She is testing the waters, seeing if you will notice, if you will respond with equal care. This is where you must rise to the occasion. Do not brush aside her gestures as insignificant or coincidental. Acknowledge them, honor them. Consider this, in every interaction we are sowing seeds. What you choose to do with the attention she offers will determine the nature of what grows between you. If you dismiss it, the soil becomes barren. But if you nurture it with kindness, respect, and courage, you create the conditions for something extraordinary to flourish. Think of the parable of the sower. Seeds scattered on fertile ground yield a harvest 100-fold. Do not let her subtle signs fall on the rocky soil of your indifference. And let's not mistake this for games or manipulation. This is not about reading between the lines to find some hidden agenda. It is about recognizing the authentic, vulnerable human need for connection. It's about understanding that sometimes the smallest gestures carry the weight of an unspoken hope. When she gives you her attention, however fleeting, she is inviting you into her world. even if only for a moment, what you do with that invitation speaks volumes about the kind of man you are. So, ask yourself, are you willing to see what she is showing you? Are you prepared to honor the sacredness of her attention? Or will you let the moment slip away, consumed by your own fears and distractions? Because here's the truth. The signs are there, but they will not wait forever. Recognize them, cherish them, and act on them not with arrogance or entitlement, but with humility and gratitude. For in doing so, you do not merely honor her, you honor the deeper truths of human connection and the divine design that binds us all together. There is a quiet persistence in the human spirit, a resilience that seeks connection even in the face of uncertainty. And it is this persistence, this steady presence that speaks louder than any declaration ever could. When she chooses to remain a part of your life, not through demands or ultimatums, but by simply being there, it is a signal of extraordinary significance. Such constancy is not a product of chance. It is the fruit of intention. And it is here, in the unassuming rhythm of her presence, that you find one of the clearest signs she is waiting for you to reach out. Consider the nature of presence itself. To remain in someone's orbit without pressing for attention or validation is an act of humility and hope. It is a quiet way of saying, I am here if you need me. Think of Ruth in the scriptures. Her steadfast loyalty to Naomi in the face of adversity. Where you go, I will go, and where you stay, I will stay. This is not merely a declaration of loyalty. It is a profound act of faith and belief in the value of the bond, even when the path ahead is uncertain. When she continues to show up in your life, whether through a thoughtful message, a kind gesture, or her physical presence, she is telling you without words that you matter. But you must ask yourself, are you truly seeing her? Are you recognizing her effort for what it is, or are you dismissing it as coincidence, convenience, or worse, obligation? In a world that glorifies the grand and the dramatic, we are quick to overlook the significance of consistency. Yet it is in the steady, unbroken thread of her actions that you find her intentions revealed. Consistency, after all, is not born out of apathy. It is the result of care, of choosing again and again to be present despite the uncertainties. Her consistent presence is an act of courage. To stay connected without knowing if that connection will be reciprocated takes strength. And this is where her presence transforms into a challenge for you. Will you rise to meet her courage with your own? To ignore her constancy is to reject the vulnerability that it represents. And rejection, my friends, is not a neutral act. It is an act of dismissal, of choosing indifference over connection. If you choose to ignore her presence, you are not merely avoiding a risk. You are denying an opportunity to honor the courage she has shown in staying. The scriptures tell us, let us not grow weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. Her consistent presence is her doing good, her sowing seeds of connection. Even if she is unsure of the harvest, she is practicing faith not in the abstract but in you. She believes, or at least hopes, that you will see her effort for what it is and that you will choose to meet her halfway. Such faith is not naive, it is profound. It is the hope that beneath your hesitation, there lies the courage to reciprocate. And yet, we often let pride blind us to such signs. We think, if she wants me to reach out, why doesn't she just say so? But relationships are not built on ultimatums. They are built on a mutual recognition of vulnerability, on the courage to act, not because the outcome is guaranteed, but because the effort is worth it. If you demand certainty before you act, you are not seeking connection, you are seeking control. And control has no place in the sacred dance of human relationships. Her presence is a mirror, reflecting not only her hope, but also your own capacity to see and respond. Will you allow yourself to be humbled by her effort, to see it as a call to action rather than a convenience to exploit? Because make no mistake, her patience is not infinite. Even the strongest bonds can erode when neglected. The question is not whether she will stay, it is whether you will step forward before her presence fades into absence. Take a moment to reflect on this. Her consistent presence is an invitation, not a demand, not a plea, but an invitation to rise above your fear and hesitation. It is a chance to honor the divine design of connection, to step into the vulnerability that leads to growth. What will you choose? Will you let her silent courage go unanswered, or will you find the strength to meet her where she stands, unwavering, hoping, waiting? Words carry power far beyond their surface meaning. They are vessels of intention, fragments of the soul extended outward to connect with another. When her words carry even the faintest hint of encouragement for connection, they are more than casual remarks. They are an invitation, a subtle yet profound gesture that says, I see you. I hope you see me too. It is in these moments, often overlooked and uncelebrated, that the seeds of deeper relationships are sown. But to recognize their significance, you must first understand the weight of what is being offered. Human communication is not a random act. Every word spoken, every phrase chosen is filtered through layers of thought, feeling, and vulnerability. When she speaks to you with a certain softness or urgency that doesn't quite match the situation, it is not by chance. Pay attention. Perhaps she compliments something about you, a quality, a choice, a skilland. It lingers in the air, heavier than the words themselves. It is not flattery. It is an offering of insight, a quiet acknowledgement of who you are and the value you bring. That is not trivial. That is deliberate. Proverbs tells us, gracious words are a honeycomb, sweet to the soul and healing to the bones. What does this mean? It means that when someone chooses to speak in a way that nurtures, uplifts, or inspires, it is an act of generosity. And such generosity, especially when aimed specifically at you, carries intent. It says, I see potential here. I see something worth nurturing. This is not just encouragement. It is a call to rise, to meet the image of yourself reflected in her words. But herein lies a challenge. To hear encouragement requires humility. It requires you to set aside the cynicism that dismisses kind words as mere politeness or manipulation. The modern mind is quick to distrust, quick to assume that the intentions of others are self-serving. Yet, Scripture reminds us to think the best of one another. Do not let your skepticism rob you of an opportunity for connection. When her words encourage you, they are not just about you. They are about her willingness to invest in the possibility of us. Do not squander that. There is also a lesson here about discernment. The way she speaks, the tone she chooses, and the themes she gravitates toward are all clues. When she directs her words toward shared experiences or asks questions that invite a deeper exchange, she is not merely passing the time. She is creating a bridge, a path that you can choose to walk together. Do not mistake her thoughtful inquiries for idle curiosity. When she asks about your dreams, your struggles, or even your smallest preferences, she is not just gathering information. She is saying, I want to understand you better, because understanding is the foundation of connection. This process of discerning intention is not easy. It requires presence of mind and attentiveness to nuance, but more importantly, it requires courage, because to recognize her words as an invitation means you are faced with a choice. Will you respond? And if so, how? Responding requires vulnerability, and vulnerability is frightening. Yet, it is the only way to truly connect. Her encouragement is not just a gift, it is a challenge for you to rise above your own self-imposed barriers, to embrace the risk of stepping into something deeper. Her words, layered with meaning, are also an expression of trust. To speak with hope, to offer encouragement, is to expose oneself to rejection. She doesn't know how you'll respond, but she chooses to reach out anyway. That is an act of faith. It is her way of saying, I believe there is something worth pursuing here, even if I can't see the whole picture yet. What will you do with that faith? Will you let it falter unanswered? Or will you rise to meet it with faith of your own? This is no small matter. Words shape reality. With them, we build or we destroy. When she speaks to you with encouragement, she is building, constructing a space where connection, trust, and growth might take root. To dismiss her words is to dismantle that space before it has a chance to flourish. But to respond, to reciprocate, is to honor her courage and to embrace the potential of what might be. Take a moment to reflect on this. Every phrase she chooses, every moment of encouragement is a gift wrapped in vulnerability. Are you willing to see it for what it is? Are you willing to rise to the occasion, not with arrogance, but with gratitude and humility? Because in doing so, you do not merely answer her, you answer a deeper call to connection, to love, and to the divine purpose that binds us all. Thoughtfulness is not loud. It does not demand recognition, nor does it parade itself in grand displays. It whispers through small, deliberate axe gestures that might seem insignificant to the hurried or the unobservant. Yet it is within these quiet moments that the essence of care is revealed. When she extends thoughtfulness toward you, it is not mere kindness. It is an unspoken declaration, a willingness to invest in the bond that lies between you. It is her way of saying, I see you, and I'm willing to show you that you matter. Consider what it means to be thoughtful. It requires presence, attention, and a willingness to step beyond the self. When she remembers the smallest details about you, your preferences, your quirks, the stories you've shared, it is not because these things are necessary for her survival. No, it is because they are necessary for connection. To remember is to value. To act on that remembrance is to honor the bond. Thoughtfulness, then, is love in action, a silent but powerful expression of regard. In the scriptures, we find the story of the Good Samaritan man who, against all cultural and social expectations, stopped to care for someone in need. It was not his obligation, it was not convenient, but it was right. And in that act of thoughtfulness, he demonstrated something far greater than mere charity. He showed what it means to see another human being fully, to acknowledge their worth and respond accordingly. When she extends thoughtful gestures toward you, she is doing the same. She is stepping beyond what is expected, offering something of herself in service to the connection you share. Yet, how often do we dismiss these gestures as insignificant? The world has trained us to seek the grand, the dramatic, the overt. But life and love are built on the small things. When she brings you something she knows you'll enjoy, when she takes the time to ask about something you've mentioned in passing, when she goes out of her way to make your day just a little better, these are not coincidences. They are deliberate acts of care. They are bricks in the foundation of a relationship, small but essential. But here's the danger. To dismiss her thoughtfulness is to reject her vulnerability. Because make no mistake, thoughtfulness is vulnerable. It is an act of giving without the guarantee of receiving. It is her way of saying, I am willing to care for you, even if I don't know how you'll respond. To brush aside her gestures, to fail to recognize their significance, is to say that her effort is meaningless. And that, my friends, is a wound far greater than silence. It is a wound to the soul. The scriptures remind us, do not despise the day of small things. These small acts of thoughtfulness are the seeds of something far greater. But seeds, as we know, require nurturing. If you fail to water them, they will wither. And so the question is not whether her thoughtfulness matters, it is whether you are willing to honor it. Will you take the time to see her efforts for what they are? Or will you let them pass unnoticed, lost in the noise of your own distractions? Thoughtfulness is also a mirror. When she acts with care toward you, she is inviting you to do the same. This is not a one-sided transaction. It is an exchange, a mutual recognition of worth. Her actions are an example, a model for how connection is built. Are you willing to learn from her? Are you willing to reciprocate her care, not as an obligation, but as an act of gratitude and love? Because in doing so, you honor not only her, but also the divine design that calls us to love one another. And let us not forget the deeper meaning of thoughtfulness. It is an acknowledgement of your humanity. When she takes the time to be thoughtful, she is saying, I see you not as an object, not as a role, but as a person with dreams, struggles, and a soul worth caring for. That is no small thing. That is sacred. To treat it as anything less is to diminish the very foundation of connection. So, I ask you, What will you do with her thoughtfulness? Will you allow it to pass by, unnoticed and unappreciated, or will you rise to meet it with the same care and intentionality that she has shown you? This is your moment to act, to honor her effort, and to step into the deeper truth of what it means to connect. Thoughtfulness is not a burden, it is a gift. Recognize it, cherish it, and respond to it with all the courage and humility that love demands. Silence speaks volumes. It is not merely the absence of words, but a presence in itself, a space where meaning resides. When she responds to your absence with silence, it is not a void. It is a message, one of depth and complexity that demands your attention. Her silence is not designed to punish or manipulate. It is a reflection of her waiting, a manifestation of her hope tempered by restraint. In that stillness lies an unspoken question. Will you choose to step forward, or will you allow this space to remain unfilled? Think about the power of silence. It is where contemplation thrives, where emotions and intentions are distilled into their purest forms. Silence requires strength. It requires her to resist the urge, to demand, to press, to chase. Instead, she chooses patience. She chooses to wait, not in passivity, but in quiet faith that you will recognize her stillness for what it is, a sacred invitation for you to take the lead. This is no small act. In a world that glorifies immediacy, her willingness to wait in silence is a radical act of trust. Scripture teaches us, "Be still and know that I am God." Stillness is not emptiness. It is an act of surrender, a recognition that some things cannot be forced but must unfold in their own time. When she allows silence to linger, she is creating a space not only for you to act, but for you to reflect, to hear the echoes of your own heart and consider what truly matters. It is in these moments of quiet that clarity is born, and clarity is the foundation of meaningful action. But silence can also be unnerving, can't it? It forces you to confront yourself. Without the distractions of noise and chatter, you are left with your own thoughts, your own hesitations. And perhaps that is the point. Her silence is a mirror, reflecting back your own uncertainty, your own reluctance to act. It is not a judgment, but a challenge. Are you brave enough to fill the space she has left open for you? Are you willing to step into the vulnerability that connection demands? Yet, how often do we misinterpret silence? We see it as indifference or rejection, when in reality it is an act of grace. Her silence is not a sign of apathy. It is a testament to her restraint, her unwillingness to force what should come freely. To misread her silence is to project your own fears onto her actions. But fear is not a reliable interpreter. Instead of assuming, take the time to understand. Ask yourself, why has she chosen to be silent? What does this say about her trust in me, her hope for what could be? In the story of Elijah, the voice of God was not found in the wind or the earthquake or the fire, but in a gentle whisper, a sound so quiet it could have been missed by anyone who wasn't truly listening. Her silence is like that whisper. It requires attentiveness, an openness to hearing what is not being shouted but softly conveyed. It asks you to listen not just with your ears but with your heart. And let us not forget the courage it takes for her to remain silent. To choose stillness is to embrace uncertainty. She does not know how you will respond, or even if you will respond at all. But she chooses to wait, to leave the door ajar rather than closing it or breaking it down. That is faith in its purest form. To honor her silence is to honor the faith she has placed in you. The faith that you will step forward of your own accord, not out of obligation, but out of recognition and care. So, what will you do with the silence she has offered you? Will you fill it with thoughtlessness or avoidance, or will you meet it with intention, with the same depth and consideration that her waiting deserves? This is not a moment to take lightly. Her silence is an opportunity, a chance for you to show her and yourself what you are capable of. It is a call to action, one that asks not for grand gestures, but for genuine presence. To respond to her silence is to step into the unknown, to risk vulnerability for the sake of connection. It is not easy, but nothing worth having ever is. Her silence is her gift to you, a space she has created in faith and hope. Will you have the courage to accept it, to honor it, and to transform it into something meaningful? The choice is yours, and it is one that speaks not only to your relationship with her, but to your relationship with yourself and with the divine purpose of connection that binds us all. Emotions are the currents that move the soul, often invisible, yet undeniably powerful. When she reacts emotionally to your absence, it is not a random occurrence. It is an unmistakable sign of connection, an indicator that your presence has carved out a place in her world. Her emotions, whether expressed in frustration, sadness, or yearning, are not weaknesses to be dismissed, but rather signals to be understood. They reveal a depth of care that cannot be faked, a vulnerability that only emerges when something or someone truly matters. Consider this. We live in a culture that often dismisses or diminishes emotion, relegating it to the realm of irrationality. But emotions are not irrational. They are messages from the heart, encoded in feeling, calling us to pay attention. When she expresses sadness at your distance or frustration at your lack of response, she is not simply venting. She is communicating a need, a desire for connection, and a hope that you will recognize the role you play in her emotional landscape. To overlook or trivialize her emotions is to ignore the very essence of what it means to be humantophile, to care, and to long for connection. Scripture teaches us, rejoice with those who rejoice, mourn with those who mourn. This is not just a command to empathize, it is an invitation to step into the emotional realities of those we care about. When her emotions rise in your absence, they are not meant to push you away. They are an open door, a way of saying, I feel deeply because you matter deeply. That is not something to fear or avoid. It is something to honor, something to meet with your own honesty and courage. Yet emotions can be uncomfortable. They demand something of you as a response, a reflection, a reckoning. When she shows you her emotions, she is inviting you into her world, into the parts of herself that are unguarded and raw. That is no small gesture. It requires trust, and trust is the foundation of all meaningful relationships. The question is, will you meet her where she is, or will you retreat into the safety of indifference? Because to dismiss her emotions is not just to reject her feelings, it is to reject the bond that her feelings represent. Think about the nature of absence. It creates a void, a space where connection once flourished. Her emotions are a reflection of that void, a testament to the fact that your presence has meaning, that your absence is felt not as a neutral state, but as a loss. This is not something to take lightly. To elicit such emotions is to hold a place of significance in her life. Do not squander that place. Do not let your own fear or hesitation keep you from stepping into the role she has reserved for you. But let us also consider the responsibility that comes with understanding her emotions. They are not just about her, they are about you, about the impact you have on her heart and mind. Her emotions are a mirror, showing you the weight of your actions or your inactions. If her sadness reflects your distance, what does that say about the choices you've made? If her frustration reveals unmet expectations, what does that teach you about how you've communicated or failed to communicate? This is not about blame. It is about awareness, about taking the time to understand the ripple effects of your presence or your absence in her life. And do not underestimate the courage it takes for her to express these emotions. Vulnerability is not weakness, it is strength. It is her way of saying, I care enough to let you see the parts of me that are not polished, that are not easy. That is a gift. It is an offering of trust, an invitation to deepen the connection you share. To respond to her emotions with indifference or defensiveness is to reject that gift. But to respond with understanding, with compassion, is to build something lasting and true. So, how will you respond? Will you shy away from the discomfort of her emotions, or will you step into the space they create with honesty and care? Her emotions are not a burden. They are a beacon, guiding you toward the heart of what it means to connect. They are a reminder that love is not about perfection, but about presence, about showing up even when it's difficult, even when it demands more of you than you think you can give. Her emotions, raw and real, are a testament to the depth of her care. They are a reflection of the bond that exists between you, a bond that she values enough to fight for, even if it means exposing her own vulnerability. Will you honor that fight? Will you recognize her emotions for what they truly area call to step forward, to be present, to meet her not with apathy, but with the same depth of care and courage she has shown you? The choice is yours, and it is one that will define not only your relationship with her, but your understanding of what it means to truly connect. Connection is not a passive endeavor, it is an act of courage, intention, and grace. Throughout this exploration, we've seen how her waiting is not idle, how her actions and silence, her thoughtfulness and emotions are rich with meaning. These are not random occurrences. They are deliberate, vulnerable offerings that invite you to step forward. They represent her willingness to create space for you, her hope that you will recognize the bond she values, and her trust that you will rise to meet her halfway. But here's the profound truth. This is not merely about her. It is about you, about the kind of person you are willing to become. To recognize her signs and respond to them is to embrace your own role in building a connection that is rooted in respect, understanding, and love. It is to accept the weight of your influence, to move beyond apathy, and to act with the integrity and intention that relationships demand. She is not asking for perfection. She is asking for presence, for you to show up, to listen, to care, and to respond. In her waiting, she is calling you to see the sacredness of what is possible between two people who choose to connect deeply. She is asking you to honor the small gestures, the silent spaces, the emotional waves, and the moments of thoughtfulness that form the foundation of something greater than the sum of its parts. This is the essence of love, and not grand proclamations or fleeting passions, but the steady, deliberate work of building something that endures. Now the question is before you, what will you do with her invitation? Will you retreat into the comfort of inaction, letting the opportunity pass by, or will you rise to meet her with courage and authenticity? This moment, this decision, is not just about her.